Okay, guys, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee. And where are we at today? 1st of June, and it's Sunday, and it's, I think, almost 7 o'clock in the morning, so I'm on the earlier side here. My wife's back. It was a hot day yesterday, not so hot today. I think 84 is the high. And the rabbinical Shavuot, which their calendar is all botched up, they don't have it right, starts this evening. But they don't do it right. They don't have a full moon, or they have a farmer's almanac calendar where they can write down the exact date of any holiday, 10, 20, 30 years out in the future, which is completely against the scriptures. You can't do that. They do it because they don't do anything right. So, okay, so let me go into the live stream and make sure we got a live stream. We had so much trouble yesterday. I just gave up. I'm not so sure this is working. Let's see. Something's not good. So let's go up here. And let's see if it works. Yeah, we're good. Got sound and picture people coming in. I got moderators. Thank you, moderators. Let me put a post up in the chat while we wait on people to come in. Everything's okay. Just double checking my post. Yep, looks good. Okay. I'm going to do some praise, being a Bible-believing site, Old and New Testament. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay. So what we're going to cover today is Israel really going to attack Iran? Now, when we hear Trump talk about it, Trump is in Gaga land slinging lies that don't quit, okay? He's saying that he's close to making some sort of a deal with the Iranians, and the Iranians are declining that. They're saying no. And the idea of um, the Iranians making a deal, their idea of a deal is they do whatever they want, just like they have been in the past, except America cancels the sanctions and gives them all their money back that's frozen from sanctions. That's the only changes that you're going to see, is the release of sanctions. Iran's not giving in to America. They know that Trump is scared. Okay? All they got to do to close the Straits of Hormuz and cut the oil flow down tremendously in the Middle East is take their miniature submarines and their other boats, their go-fast boats, of which they have over 1,500, and start laying nautical mines around the Straits of Hormuz. I mean, if they laid 10, it would stop all the shipping, but they would probably put 60 or 100 down. Then America and the Allies have to bring minesweepers over and start a big operation. But the Iranians will attack the minesweepers from land and sea. Minesweepers are not very, well-defended naval assets. They don't normally have any anti-missile systems or anything like that. So then America would need to deploy serious warships with the minesweeper to protect it, and that would probably give Iran an opportunity to sink some American destroyers with a swarm attack of missiles, go-fast boats, drones, torpedo attacks, anti-ship missile attacks, you name it. And that would be probably rather simple for Iran to pull off. I don't think it would be very, very hard, because it's right in their backyard. So Trump doesn't know what to do. The old lady that lives in a shoe doesn't know what to do. I pick my words carefully. He's confused. So there's that aircraft carrier group, which has the British aircraft carrier, and there's some French vessels and a couple other countries and 2 American destroyers heading the flotilla. They're in the Red Sea up north near Egypt, near the Mediterranean. And they're afraid to pass through the Red Sea in the southern area of it, you might say, where the Houthis in Yemen are. So whatever they were deployed here to do, they're going to be doing it from the northern part of the Red Sea. Now, I don't know what they were here to do. One school of thought is passed down through the Red Sea, under Yemen, under Saudi Arabia, and come out near the Indian Ocean, Diego Garcia or something like that. But what's the point of that? I'm not so sure it makes sense. So their real goal might be to hang around near Egypt in the Sinai Peninsula, where Egypt has placed itself on the border of Israel and the border of Gaza. And that might be a check and balance against the Egyptians doing something against Israel or in favor of Gaza or who the heck knows why. But this little coalition is a bit of a mystery to everybody right now. So we don't know what the heck is going on with this thing. It appears Pakistan downed another jet belonging to India. This was a new update. So that situation is not that hot right now, but taking a plane down is certainly hot. But we got to see how it develops. See, I maintain that all the unclean spirits, the powers of the air, the fallen angels, are trying to get all the nations to not fight except against Israel. Because I think they're scared. They're very scared. Fires are up in Canada and America. Crazy weather is increased. Volcanoes are on the increase, which is columns of smoke in Mark 13 as an end times birth pain. Things are, the signs are kicking in, Signs are kicking in. The Houthis are attacking Israel daily. They're launching missiles, and usually 2 a day, usually when Israel is sleeping, and it causes the sirens to blow, and 1 or 2 million people go to the bomb shelters while we do the takedown, and the Houthis take great pleasure in that. America has finished attacking the Houthis, apparently, but they're not trusting the Houthis enough to let those warships pass by Yemen. They don't really know if the Houthis would shoot at them or not, I guess. So what kind of ceasefire is there with the Houthis anyway? Not much. Russia's floundering around with Ukraine. And, the takeaway is how much we were lied to by America and other allies about how powerful Russia is. If Ukraine could mop the floor with Russia, which they're doing, this was just another ploy to get the countries to go into defense spending by using Russia as a goblin to scare everybody. Russia is certainly not very scary. They can't handle Ukraine. Imagine what would happen if they had to handle NATO in Europe without America. That would be devastating. Now add in America. That would be super devastating. Okay. Trump's got some fantasy of bringing Russia to a ceasefire with Ukraine that probably would allow Trump to continue making money with the precious minerals and metals that Ukraine has. And Putin is in a lot of trouble right now, guys. Let's not kid ourselves. Let's not kid ourselves. He's in a lot of trouble. And I'm having a lot of problems imagining Putin hitting NATO countries or European Union countries. I have not a lot of difficulty imagining NATO countries doing more against Putin to hurt Russia using Ukraine. Perhaps not actually attacking Russia themselves, but just keeping the feeding of the weapons going on. And now they're getting weapons that will allow them to strike about 300 miles into Russia, which will get them pretty good access into Moscow. Now, they have been hitting Moscow, but with drones. So now they'll be able to hit Moscow not only with hundreds of drones, but also Taurus missiles. And they might get more longer range ATACMs from America. So if they can put drones into Moscow, which we know they've done many times, multiple, and they can drop missiles in there, then they can do a combined swarm attack with missiles and drones. Now, in addition, they could use their F-16s, of which they have a bunch, and soften up Moscow with drones and missiles, and then right after the chaos is over, they could send a squadron or a handful of F-16s to drop bombs in the aftermath of all the chaos, And they may not, or they might, I don't know. You would think after missiles and drones, the Russian air defenses would be kind of goofy. They'd have to reload their anti-missile systems, and, it might be a good opportunity to run some F-16s in and hit more targets. I don't know. I don't think they need to do that, but they might. Now we're getting Hegseth is threatening China. Whoopee-doo. What else is new? Trump threatens everybody. What does he do about it? So Hegseth is saying that China is not just building up its military regarding Taiwan, but actually practicing taking it over. This is one of the most moronic statements I've seen coming from the American administration. For over a year, we've seen many times Taiwan wakes up in the morning and they're surrounded by a naval blockade of Chinese warships with aircraft flying over their airspace. Dozens of times we've seen this. So what is Hegseth talking about? Nothing's really changed. So Hegseth threatens China as if they're... do you think anybody really pays attention to American Donald Trump threats at this point? I don't. And they pay a little attention. They walk cautiously. But do you really think that taking Trump's threats seriously anymore? I certainly don't. Iran is making a mockery out of him. Now let's go to Hamas. Witkoff and Trump were running around the other day. Oh, we're close to a deal with Hamas. And Witkoff saying Israel accepted the Witkoff proposal. And what about Hamas? Of course not. They've never changed. Witkoff is either delusional or just lying to us. Hamas has completely, ever since day one, said they want a full withdrawal of Israel, permanently monitored or protected by other countries, enforced by other countries. Okay? And they don't want to demilitarize, and they don't want to leave, and they don't want to give up control of Gaza. And they want to have access to the Rafah crossing with Egypt, which means weapons will flow. And I am sure they will put a pier in to receive building materials, humanitarian aid, and of course weapons, but they won't say weapons. And they will also put an airport in to receive building materials, humanitarian aid, and of course they won't say it, but weapons. Okay? That's what is going to happen. And that's why Israel is not going for it. And now Witkoff is turned against Hamas softly, well, they're, putting in more garbage into the deal, and it's the same thing, So Netanyahu has his big move against Gaza, and I don't know what's going on. I keep hearing about evacuation orders, and he keeps blowing up houses and buildings. Somebody should tell Netanyahu that the people of Israel and our military are not getting killed by houses and buildings. They're getting killed by people. And why doesn't he wake up and start attacking people instead of real estate? And I wonder whose side he's really on. So he's not rapidly prosecuting this war. That I could tell you. Okay? And he seems to be pretty confident that Witkoff doesn't really understand Hamas yet, and Netanyahu does, and he realizes that there ain't going to be any kind of a realistic ceasefire. Because Hamas ain't going to give in. Hamas ain't going to do it. And Trump doesn't apparently want to see Israel do a tap dance on the head of Hamas. Neither does Israel apparently want to do that. They're in a paradox. There's no way they're going to get, if they wipe out Hamas today without supernatural intervention from the Lord, their hostages will get killed. If they don't wipe out Hamas, things stay the way they are. See, they all don't know what to do. Netanyahu doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know, believe me. blowing up the real estate is an interesting concept because it doesn't give the residents of Gaza a place to return to after he moves them around with an evacuation order, that's for sure. But, you know, I don't see them leaving. Where are they going? You know, Netanyahu doesn't seem to know what to do. Neither does Trump. Iran seems to have a direction, and their direction is gung-ho with the nuclear facilities and keep threatening the world with all their hybrid weapons. I'm not seeing Israel do much with the Houthis, which is the idiocy of Netanyahu. You know, you can't knock out 100% of missiles. You could knock down 95, 98, or something like that. So he's playing with fire by letting these morons keep launching missiles every day. But how could Netanyahu stop it? It doesn't seem likely. If he knew how to stop it, he would have stopped it. He's tried. You can hit all the ports and the piers you want with the Houthis, and does that seem to do any good? No. They don't seem to care. You can destroy their airports, you can destroy their piers, and what do? They keep plodding on. They don't care. So it's a lousy situation. So what the heck's up with Netanyahu and Trump? The two of them don't know what to do. They got trouble with the Houthis. They got trouble with Gaza. They got trouble with Iran. Okay? Paris is a mess. They had a lot of fighting and terrorism. They're protesting, you know, in favor of the Muslim terrorism states. And Macron's just a nincompoop, you know, very, very unaccomplished politician. Very dumb. Extremely stupid. So we just got to watch and see what this nincompoop Macron comes up with, you know. Now, we talk about Israel hitting Iran. What in the world is Israel going to do to Iran? They're not going to hurt the nuke facilities. Israel doesn't have the wherewithal in terms of, we don't have 30,000-pound bombs. We don't have aircraft that can carry 30,000-pound bombs. So what could Israel do? Strategic strikes on the air intake ducts for the nuclear facilities and the many entrances and exits that they have for each nuke facility. Could this work? Yes. Could Israel pull it off? Yes. Would it mean the end of the nuclear facilities? No. Would it dismantle them temporarily? Yup. For how long? Weeks, maybe 90 days or something, 60 days. That's it. Could it cause people to get killed? Yeah, they might get trapped in the underground facilities without air. Don't know. Is that a worthwhile move for Israel to take? Not really. It doesn't have a permanent solution to it. It's rather temporary. And to do that, Netanyahu is going to have to take out a lot of radar first. I don't know. It doesn't. It's only good if they're going to keep playing their game of charades. Nukes are real. As long as they're going to play the nuclear bomb threat, which, come on, guys, if those things were real, they would have used them 20, 30 times over by now, right? So why is Iran doing this? I don't know. Maybe Iran thinks they are real, or maybe they think they could make it work. I don't have any idea. Or it's just a charade they're all playing. I don't know. I don't know. The nations don't make sense because their leader, Satan, doesn't make sense because he's a lunatic. Okay? He's a hateful idiot. All right? Trump getting anywhere with the sanctions? No. I don't see any victories with the tariffs. The tariffs. I don't see it. I don't know what Trump's going to try to come up with, but it seems to me rather evident that he's not getting very far with his sanction tariffs, and too many people are standing up against them. So I don't know what he's going to do. Canada's not a state, Mexico's not a state, Greenland's not a state. The tariff wars are not working out for Trump. He can't get Ukraine and Russia to stop fighting. He can't get anywhere with Gaza. He can't get anywhere with Iran. He can't get anywhere with the Houthis of any substance anyway. So you're going to see people ranting and raving about how effective Trump is. Really? You'll be sorry you ever heard the name Trump probably by the end of the summer. He's not making things work the way people thought he would. It's not going his way. Eventually, somebody's going to attack the United States because it's in the prophecies, Jeremiah 50:51. Eventually, some nations are going to attack Elam, which is Iran, and likely also pieces of Iraq and Syria, and they get devastated, and they have to scatter to every nation on the earth, and the sword follows them, and they get cut off. Now, to make that happen, it would have to be more than hitting the missile cities and the nuclear facilities. You'd have to destroy the infrastructure. Now, I'm sure Netanyahu and the Israeli military are well aware of the fact that if they go in, and we've heard them talk about attacking Iran every day for a week at least. So if we go in and attack them every day for a week or 2 weeks, their infrastructure would be kaput. But the question I have is, what will Iran do to Israel during this period? Now, that's going to depend a lot on what about deactivating radar that Iran could use to get missiles to go more than 1,000 miles into Israel. Now, I don't know how the heck they can guide those missiles with any accuracy if we take out their radar, unless they're having China or Russia help them or something. I don't know. I don't know how favorable France is towards the Iranians either. I have a feeling they're not favorable. France is pro-Ukraine, anti-Russia. Iran is pro-Russia. So we know France is supporting Ukraine against Russia big time. So that means he's against Russia, and Iran is a close ally of Russia, so Macron's against Iran. And that could be why there's French warships in this flotilla in the Red Sea. They might be trying to thwart Iran attacks on Israel. I don't know exactly what they're up to. But I know this. Trump is lying through his teeth about this situation with Hamas and Iran. He's not really lying about the Houthis in Yemen. He's just doing nothing about it. He's not lying about it. He's just not doing anything. There's a big difference. He did say he doesn't want to start wasting expensive munitions on the Houthis. So he's perfectly at peace with the Houthis shooting missiles every day at Israel. Now, what do you think about that? Is that making a statement? Or perhaps there's nothing he can really do about it, and he knows it. He was attacking voraciously Yemen, and it didn't stop him from launching missiles at Israel day in and day out. So, let's try to cut Trump some slack here and realize that there's not a lot that he can do about this. And if he can't stop the Houthis, understand he can't stop Iran. Iran is probably 10 times, 20 times stronger than the Houthis. More dug in, more fortified, deeper, better barriers, better weapons, more of them, bigger. The Houthis aren't really allied with North Korea, China, and Russia like Iran is. So, yesterday we talked about who is bothering Israel. The Houthis in Yemen, Gaza, Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and Iran. So we do spiritual warfare against these entities. You can do it on any level. Toss them out, tell them not to return. You can cancel any witchcraft, sorcery, spells, enchantments these governments have ever emanated forth, and destroy that. That's their propaganda value goes away. Command the unclean spirits from being, unable to control these organizations and entities, the Hamas in Gaza and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza, the Houthis in Yemen, and the Iranian government. Just make it that they can't control them. What you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. What you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. So just bind them for a period of a year from being able to manage or run or operate or control these government and organizations. It's simple. And keep doing these things. And that will be the end of their ability. Now, let's go a little further. And let's go after the daughter of Babylon. Go after the executive branch, the judicial branch, the legislative branch, go after their courts on all levels, go after their military leaders, their intelligence leaders from their intelligence organizations. Okay, bind them from being able to, the unclean spirits from being able to control the American government for a period of a year continuously, beginning now. Okay? Now, are you not supposed to do things for Israel? Right, okay. What did Yeshua tell us? If you're walking and you see a guy, laying there and he got no clothes, no water, no food, do you just sit there and tell the guy, okay, I'll pray for you? Or do you do what the Good Samaritan did and help the person? Well, the churches lead these people astray to just get them to pray for Israel. They buy an Israel flag and they take a picture and they get together and they say they pray for Israel. Well, that's not what Yeshua exactly wants us to do. It's not error, but I'm taking it to a different level. We're actually making warfare against the enemies of Israel in the spirit. And when we wage war in the spirit, we win. Now, how many people are really going to do that? Well, very few, because they're afraid. They're afraid of the unclean spirits. They're not bold and brazen. They're scared of them. It says, these signs shall follow those that believe in my name. They shall cast out devils. Mark 16, verse 16 to 17, I think. They don't practice that or believe that. Now, let's talk about using spiritual warfare to drive Satan crazy and, more importantly, set people free. Okay? And there is a place where we're shown what they do to people with their false churches. So we go into Matthew 13, and I'm going to find the right verses. It's not the parts that I usually use in Matthew 13. So you'll have to give me a minute to find the right verses, but I will. I think it's Matthew 13:3. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seed fell by the wayside, and the fowls, the birds, which is usually referencing demons, came and devoured them up, the seeds. Let's keep going. Some fell upon stony places where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mystery of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it's not given. For whosoever hath to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, By hearing you shall hear, and shall not understand. And seeing you shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which you see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which you hear, and have not heard them. Hear you therefore the parable of the sower. When one heareth the word of the kingdom, and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one, and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which receiveth seed by the wayside. Now, what you can do if you want to help people get out of the churches, they may not be the elect, they may not be the remnant, but if you feel like you want to try, attack this, okay? It says, then cometh the wicked one, and catcheth away that which is sown in his heart. So you command the unclean spirits to not catch away that which is sown in their heart for the next 5 years continuously. You're binding them from being able to do so, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, and then pray for these people. Is it worth a try? Yeah, I would think so, but you don't have to do it, but you certainly can. Let's go to the next category. But he that received the seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receiveth it. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended. So this is the person that's not going to pay a price. They're not going to lose their friends and their family and their church life for the sake of the Lord and his true gospel. They're going to stay with a false gospel to keep their friends. So how do you go after that? This one's a little bit harder because it's the people doing it themselves. You can just basically pray for them and just pray that the unclean spirits don't lead them astray, and you can command all the unclean spirits to not lead these people astray or down a bad path at all for a period of time, like a couple of years, a year or two, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, and pray and hope for the best. Okay. He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. Well, again, you could just pray for these people not to become unfruitful and bear good fruit for the word. And then he that receiveth seed into the good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit, and bringeth forth some 100-fold, and then 30-fold, and so forth. All right, so you could try, You could try. But it's a good idea to wage spiritual warfare on a lot of churches and stock markets, commodity markets, futures exchanges, various courts, state legislatures, heads of the military, heads of the law enforcement agencies, heads of the intelligence agencies, and all their people. I don't think there's a lot of non-SBOTs operating in intelligence agencies. I'm pretty sure it's mostly unclean spirits serving people. So if you want to do something for Israel, go after the enemies of Israel, which the United States is one. And so is the UK, and so is France, and Spain. Go after them. Okay? France, Spain, UK, Malta became an enemy. They recognized the Palestinian state, or they intend to. Saudi Arabia is an enemy of Israel. Iraq is an enemy of Israel. Lebanon's an enemy of Israel. Gaza, of course. Egypt is an enemy of Israel. Go after them. Throw the unclean spirits out of their leaders, out of their legislature, out of their courts, out of their military generals, out of their intelligence agencies. Throw the unclean spirits out of like the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. Okay? Get the Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza. Get the Hezbollah in Lebanon. Get Iran. Okay? You have the tools. You could do it. You can tread over all the power of the enemy and bind them and stop them from controlling these terrorist groups and these countries. And you will make Satan pull his hair out. Does that not sound like a pleasurable thing to do? To make the Satan and the powers of the air nuts and crazy and pull their hair out not knowing what to do? Because they can't overcome you. It's impossible. You can overcome them, but you got to know how, and you got to want to, and you got to not be fearful. And then you win. When you fight in the spirit, without fear and so forth, you're going to win. Okay? Do airport demon dumps. Go around the world, get the airports. You could do them every few hours. Get everybody in the passenger terminal, in planes on the tarmac or the runways, in the parking lots. Toss them all. See how they like traveling without their demons in them. Toss them all, the long and the short and the tall. Get the cruise ship, the cruise lines, toss them. Get the private, the planes at the private airports where they have the personal planes that they own. Toss them. Toss everyone that owns a Rolls Royce, a Bentley, a Ferrari, a Bugatti, a Lamborghini, a Porsche, whatever, right? Owns or operates or controls or leases. You know, they like all these toys to show off to you. Well, turn it against them. Go after big companies. But whatever you do, you should be directing a lot of this at the enemies of Israel, because if you're a real believer, you're going to be living here quite soon. And the more damage they do, the more rebuilding we have. You like that idea? I don't. Of course, you could say, well, I'll just wait for the Lord to do it. But what did he say? These signs shall follow them that believe. In my name they shall cast out devils. What did it say in Luke 10? They come back, the 70 come back to see Yeshua, and they say, even the demons, the devils are subject unto us in your name. Subject means submitted, more so than just tossing them. It says, you can tread over all the power of the enemy. You can wipe your feet on everything they can do. So it's more than just demon tossing. And when you do this, then you could spread the gospel. Then people are going to get free. I just told you what's wrong with it in Matthew 13, how they do it, right? Undo it. You just sit around. That's what Satan wants. Do nothing, and then he comes after you. You wait for the next attack, and the next attack, and the next attack. Why don't you go attack him? Make him weary. Make his thing fall apart. He's destined to lose. Him and all the unclean spirits are losers. They're destined for failure. Why not accelerate it? Make it harder for them, worse for them. What do you want to sit around and let them just do it to you? Stupid, isn't it? Yeah. That's churchianity. Even though we're out of the churches, a lot of that has still flowed over to us, where we're not taking aggressive action against these unclean spirits. And we can thwart them, and we can minimize what they can accomplish. We can mess them up royally, but we got to do it. You got to make a decision to do it. So, there you have it. So, that's pretty much what I got for today, and if you're going to glean something, Trump is just failing left, right, and center. There's forces against him, okay? He's not getting anything done. Okay, so I'm Moshe. Please pray for me and my wife. Pray for our peace, safety, protection, joy. Pray for a healing of our bodies, and pray for our finances, and pray for our animals and pets, which are all rescues, to be happy, healthy, and whole. Pray for better videos. Pray for more insights into spiritual warfare. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And I'm telling you, if you do the spiritual warfare, you're going to be happy, you're going to feel better, it's going to increase your faith, and you're going to love it. But you got to step out and do it. Okay. So I send all my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I'm out. Thank you.